Welcome back to Out of the Wild Blue Yonder. I'm Mark Tate here with my good friend and co-host Luther King. Luther, how was your week?
Hey, what's up, Mark? I had another great week. I finally made it out to the woods for my first sit of the season. So on Saturday, had a morning hunt, sat for about 3.5 hours. Didn't see any game, but it was great to be back outdoors. Then this morning, Monday the 14th of October, had another morning sit about 5 minutes before official sunrise. Had a little small buck come through, probably about 17 yards away from a stand. But, he was just too small. But it was good to be able to see some game, especially a buck within legal shooting lights, just cruising through with his nose to the ground already, middle of October. So just excited to be out there. It's a nice, cool morning. I'm just looking forward to the, rest of October.
Yeah.
That's the rut and breeding season. The intensity starts to build, and then soon, bucks will be chasing. So I'm super excited. But real quick, before we move on, just want to share with the folks, what does a typical morning look like for Luther?
Yes.
He's preparing to go hunting. So my the property that I hunt on, it's approximately an hour away, a 1 hour drive. So in order for me to get to my stand by a specific time, I wake up at 3 a.m.
Wow.
So 3 a.m. wake up, in the bathroom, going through my scent control routine, showering, shampooing, getting dressed. Then I head downstairs and put the final touches on whatever food or snacks I'm going to take with me. Typically, all I have left to do is brew up a cup of coffee to take with me, and I pretty much have everything else pre-packed. So putting that in my bag, fixing my coffee, then I'm headed to the car. My goal is to be on the road, pulling out of the driveway about 400 or 4 a.m. That puts me at the property approximately at 5 a.m. And then after I sign in, identifying, hey, who I am, what area I'm going to be hunting in, then I proceed to my hunting area. So my goal is to be in the stand an hour before legal shooting light. So sunrise is at 7:20 a.m. That means first shot is at 6:50 a.m. So I want to be in my stand no later than 5:50 a.m. So that gives the woods, an hour to kind of calm down, for my entry, even though I'm trying to be as quiet and as stealthy as possible. You still make some noise, and it takes a little time to get settled into your tree. So it can be a long day. If I'm doing a morning hunt and an afternoon or evening hunt, that's a very long day for me. So it's something I have to ease into. I typically start off with evening sits, but the weather has just cooperated these past 2 days to where it's very pleasant in the morning, 50s or high 40s one morning. So just very comfortable. So I decided to give morning hunts a go. But right now, they're still on the evening pattern for the most part. But, just being able to see that buck this morning, a young buck, and then another hunter also saw a pretty decent buck, but we would consider a shooter, 8 or more points this morning too. So, hey, things are starting to heat up. So I'm looking forward to next Saturday. That'll be my next opportunity to get out there. How was your trip to Texas? I know you told me about it. You were planning to go.
Yes.
Can you share with the audience and share with me, hey, what did you do on this special assignment?
Absolutely, Luther. Hey, I went to an event called Grill and Chill down in Corsicana, Texas. This event was nothing short of phenomenal for me. If you are interested in barbecue, then that is the event for you. Arrived there on early Friday morning. I walked out to the pit, was met by Kevin Blutso, who was a James Beard award-winning barbecue pitmaster. He also has a show on Netflix that he is co-host of. They had Chuck Flavor Train. He's from California, from the Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley area there in California. Of course, they had Pappy there. He is from Louisiana. Gerald, he was there. fantastic pit master. He was a second runner up on the Netflix show, I think season 3. Of course, they had Rashid there, excellent pit master. He was the second runner up in season 2 of the Netflix show. And so just a really enjoyable experience. They had representatives there from M&M. These guys, they make pits, and they produce those just a short distance away from Corsicana, about 25 miles away. So the owners of that particular company, they were there, and they showcased their pits and allowed Rashid and his crew to actually use those pits.
Nice.
And I tell you, Luther, the food was phenomenal. They had about 17 different dishes that they did. Yeah. And along with the sides. So it was really just a wonderful event. I just can't say that enough. Just being able to be around these legends of barbecue.
Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you hit on a lot of things that I would love to pull the thread on.
Yeah.
But can you talk briefly just about the logistics involved? Being both professional logisticians, I can imagine there's some serious planning and coordination and logistics involved in executing events such as this. So can you talk a little bit more about that aspect of it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. First of all, you've got to source all this meat, and you've got to make sure that it's high quality, So finding those vendors in the local area, at least the greater Dallas area, to have the meats that you want and to be able to bring those in on time, and they're not frozen and they're really fresh meat. So that was a huge effort because they had different types of meat. You've had to source all of those different types of meat and have them come in at the same time. So that was a huge effort. And it's kind of interesting because some of the methodology or the methods they used to track the meats and everything coming in were as old school as a pad and pencil and knowing, okay, this is supposed to be here at a certain time. And when it comes in, we've got to make sure that it comes in off the cooler truck and we put it in refrigeration immediately, fresh vegetables and fruits, same way. And then you've got all your equipment, right? You've got all these knives and cutting boards that ordinarily are not at this facility that they use. They did have some, and it was a pretty nice kitchen, but they had to bring in multiple pieces of equipment from different locations. So a lot of those had to be bought locally in the area. So they had to bring them in. And the other piece of it too is that some people, they like their own particular items,
Yes.
We had a gentleman, he brought his own meats from Louisiana. He brought in certain items that he uses particularly because you just can't find in the area. For example, alligator meat, alligator tail. You won't necessarily find that in Texas, but you can find it in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Right. So he sourced all of that too. And that's just, the cooking part of it, right? It was just so huge. The other piece of it, of course, because they were doing this huge event, they had to figure out the timing of all the people coming in as participants in this event, as clients, as guests, right? So they had to have a badging process to where people got their badges in and people, they scanned their IDs to make sure they were who they say they were and confirm with their payments and everything. So it was a lot, logistically speaking, just the process of it all, And
Love it. So happy you got a chance to go hang out with these pros, these pit masters, and just soak up that knowledge, man.
Yeah,
That's good
Texas
stuff.
hospitality.
Yeah, and on your birthday weekend, so happy birthday to you, man. I'm glad you got a chance to enjoy it out in Big Texas.
Hey, I appreciate that today. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay. Hey, man, this has been a great opening segment, but, we got to shift gears and talk a little college football.
That's right.
Hey, week 7 is in the bag.
Yeah, it
Week
is.
7 typically is just filled with some key matchups, ranked opponents squaring up against each other. And this year did not disappoint. 2024 was hot. It was great.
Yeah.
It gave us some thrilling finishes,
That's right.
some upsets, and of course, a reshuffled top 25 once again.
Yes.
So we'll kick things off by breaking down that top 25. So the new number 1 is Texas. They had to bye last week. Ohio State
they
was in the number 1 spot. But after Texas's victory over Oklahoma, I know you're going to talk about that a little bit later here, but they are now sitting in the number 1 spot, followed by Oregon in the number 2 spot, who had a great victory, thrilling finish, upsetting Ohio State. Penn State sitting in the number 3 spot. They just continue to rise. So that's 2 Big Ten teams,
That's
3
right.
Big Ten teams now sitting in the top 5, with Oregon at 2, Penn State at 3, and Ohio State at 4. Again, Penn State beat USC in overtime. Georgia sitting in the number 5 spot. Miami in the number 6 spot. They both won. Alabama still sitting in the number 7 spot.
Yeah.
Again, they got the W. It wasn't pretty, but they got the W.
Got it, brother.
LSU continues to move up also. They're now sitting in the number 8 spot after beating Ole Miss in a thriller in Death Valley. That was another good game. Ohio State sitting in number 9. Clemson. You know, we talked really bad about Clemson.
We did.
Earlier on, and guess what? Clemson is number 10.
Yeah.
Clemson is number 10. So Dabo has figured some stuff out. He's got Clemson hitting on all 8 cylinders right now.
That's right.
So we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
That's
Hey,
right.
and then, of course, Tennessee is sitting in the number 11 spot, although they were victorious over Florida in overtime. They didn't really make any moves per se. Then Notre Dame sitting in the 12th spot. BYU in 13. Then over to you, Tate, to take it from there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, and so in the 14th spot, you got Texas A&M with that 12th man. They are trying to drive up the numbers. They're trying to get there. They're trying to break into the top 10. We'll see what happens. Boise State sitting at 15. Hey, Boise State's coming on, you know.
Yes.
Indiana, Kansas State. I know you guys may have seen that game, been playing Colorado. Colorado tried to play tough with them, you know, and the Kansas State ended up prevailing there.
Yep.
Of course, moving up in the ranks, and Ole Miss. Luther talked about this a little bit earlier, how, you know, they were defeated, but just barely in overtime. Number 19, Missouri. Number 20, Pitt. You got SMU sitting at 21. Illinois sitting at 22.
Yes.
Army, look at that. Come on.
Yes.
Now. Army's 23. Michigan falling all the way to 24. And what are you kidding me? You got Navy at 25. You got 2 military academies in the top 25.
Top 25.
Like in this modern era, you know,
that's crazy.
I can see maybe like in 1948 or something.
You know, in 2024. They're there.
Brother.
Army and Navy. Yeah, so good on them. Man. They're both playing some great football. I'm just excited for them. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I am too, you know, and we'll see. I don't think Air Force, the U.S. Air Force Academy, will make it this year, but
they're struggling.
They're struggling. Next year for the Falcons, you know.
They're struggling this year, so big ups to the Army and the Navy. They're representing. They're playing some great football.
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing what they do throughout the rest of the season.
That's right.
Congratulations to getting in the top 25.
That's right.
Okay. So now we're going to take a few moments to break down some key matchups. You know, of course, we have to talk about our programs, our schools, our teams.
That's right.
So I'm going to start things off by talking a little bit about South Carolina versus Alabama. As you know, Alabama lost last week to Vanderbilt. And the previous week, they beat Georgia. So you go from this emotional high to this all-time low.
Yes.
Losing to Vanderbilt. And the question of the week was, hey, what is Alabama going to do? Can they bounce back? Can they overcome all the negativity? Folks like me, Luther King, was on YouTube giving them the business because of just the mistakes they made, bad play calls by the coaching staff, just being out of sync. So could they overcome that? Thankfully, they did overcome it. They came away with the W. It was not pretty, but they got the dub. Final score was 27-25. And South Carolina brought their A game, as teams always do when they're playing top-tier programs like Alabama. Every team they play, they rise to the occasion, and they want to beat that team. So at some point, Alabama really has to process that, and I mean, it just should motivate you and encourage you to just play even harder and commit more in your practices each and every week, because you know you're going to get the best of everybody that you play. And that's what you got from Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks. They came out swinging. Hey, guess what? Alabama was ready. So I think they did overcome the negativity. Alabama was up 14-0 in the first half. 14-0.
Yes.
In the first half. With about a minute and 49 seconds left before halftime. Then all of a sudden, The train fell off the tracks. The train fell off the tracks.
Yeah.
We went into halftime 12-14. South Carolina scored 12 points in a minute and about 49 seconds. So
that's crazy.
I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just very troubling to me. It's very troubling to me how they consecutively have blown big leads, had dominant performances, and they just couldn't finish. They couldn't keep the pedal to the metal. They couldn't maintain that momentum, that drive, and they just made mistakes. They made mistakes, and gave up those 12 right before halftime. Then, of course, South Carolina comes out of half. They got the ball, and they scored on their first possession. And next thing you know, South Carolina's up. And it's like, what's happening? What is happening? They were up 19-14. But Alabama fought back. They persevered, and they got back in lead.
Yeah.
But then again, here we are in the fourth quarter. More mistakes are occurred. South Carolina scores, and then they go for an onside kick. So typically in onside kick situations, hey, the receiving team, your special teams, when you see that onside kick line up, hey, you put your hands team on the field. So your best people, the people who have the best hands, who can catch the ball, hold the ball, do their thing. So the hands team should have been on the field. Lo and behold, South Carolina kicks the onside kick, goes to Alabama players, and they're over there playing hot potato with the football. Playing hot potato. Nobody wanted to hold the ball, grab the ball, secure the ball. They're just touching it and flipping it all around like it's a hot potato. Yeah. So again, just another head scratcher. It's like, wait a minute, your special teams, this is the hands team. What's going on? What are you thinking right now? And we, had to deal with some drama in the fourth quarter. But again, end zone interception, by, if I'm not mistaken, it was, get my names right, Damani Jackson got the interception, and South Carolina was throwing a pass into the end zone to potentially score and win, and he went up and got it and saved the game for Alabama. So Alabama came away with the W. Like I said, it definitely was not pretty. Still some head scratchers there for me from a fan perspective. But they got the dub, so I'm going to leave it at that. They still got some work to do. I really don't know if Alabama's going to be in contention from a SEC conference or even a playoff standpoint if they continue to play the way they're playing right now. So they've got some work to continue to do on defense. They've got some improvements that need to be made. They've still got to figure out how to get on the same page, how to make the necessary adjustments, how to read those offenses, and just do a better job. If you're going to play a zone, then you can't play a soft zone. You just got to get tighter on your man. You just got to build your confidence up and just don't get beat. So Alabama has made the best of what they have. From a player standpoint, again, these are still top recruits.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just going to take some time for them to get more reps under their belt, adjust to the new coaching staff, continue to adjust to the new coaching staff, because I think some of that is still happening right now. They're still adjusting to the way they call plays, some of the schemes, and they've just got to continue to get some more reps. So we'll see what the rest of the season holds. I love my team. I roll tide day in and day out, but I've just got to see something significantly better on the defensive side for me to change my perspective right now on what the future holds. Because guess what? We got Tennessee.
Yeah.
We got Tennessee coming up next Saturday, 3:30 p.m.
Right.
on ABC. So 2 big games in the SEC next week.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking right there, man. I'm going to let you get the mic a little bit. My sense is you probably want to talk Auburn.
I do.
A little bit. So over to you, Tate. Over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, bro. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate you. The thing is Auburn had a bye week this week, but the other part about that is people are beginning to coach Hugh Freeze. They're beginning to question Coach Freeze and if he's going to be able to turn Auburn around into a winning football team, especially winning out the rest of their conference games. A lot of people are beginning to scratch their heads and wonder why in the world we're paying this man $45.5 million over a 7-year period, to coach this football team. Now, I understand that it takes a while to transition a team from pretty good or decent to exceptional, but a lot of people don't have the patience, and they look at that amount of money that they're paying Coach Freeze, and they say, what are we getting for our money? So from my perspective, turning it on the side and looking at it from a leadership perspective, as leaders, we're always taught to accept everything, accept whatever loss is under your command or your leadership purview is being your own. And I think for the most part, Coach Freeze is doing that. But the other part that we don't have, at least in the military, is that incentive of making a lot of money and the lack of patience that comes along with that when you are getting paid so much money. So I believe that it's going to be really a point of the folks at Auburn trying to decide whether or not they want to be paying out Coach Freeze, which is about $20 million, if they decide to let go of him after this football season. So there's a huge payout potentially for Coach Freeze, along with Auburn trying to figure out, first of all, where do we get this $20 million from? So I'm moving on very quickly, and I want to talk about the Red River Rivalry. We saw the score. Yeah. It's not complicated, is it?
No.
We know that Texas knocked the brakes off of Oklahoma for no good damn reason.
Yes.
That Oklahoma just did not show up to play.
Nope, that's it.
They did not. And I've got some friends who are Oklahoma fans, diehard from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And everybody they were scratching their heads trying to figure out what happened. Who showed up to play in that particular game? It sure as heck was not Oklahoma. I'll tell you that, Texas proved, and you said it. You've already said it. Texas proved that they're serious in this.
Absolutely.
They're not coming here to mess around. Nope. They're part of the SEC, and Oklahoma is too, but they're serious contenders for this SEC title. And they're telling people like, hey, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, everybody, you better watch out because we're going to watch out SEC for the next 40 years if you don't get your crap together.
Absolutely.
I see Texas being like Alabama was back in the day, being like Georgia has been here recently, just dominating, winning the SEC title multiple years, back to back to back. So we'll see. Texas is going to be hosting Georgia in week 8. That's going to, of course, be the game of the week.
Yes,
I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it as well. We'll see. Time to tell. I'm going to get off the stage for a minute and let you speak on some of this other stuff that's been going on here in college football.
Hey, no, I appreciate that. I agree with you, Tate. Something's happening at Auburn. I just hope they can figure it out. Like you say, and don't make a rash decision. Really take the time to weigh the pros and cons.
That's right.
Then just on Texas again, they're looking real good right now.
Yeah.
You got a starting quarterback. That's a beast. You got a backup quarterback. That's a beast.
Yeah.
They're just hitting on all 12 cylinders. 12. Offense, defense, and special teams. So I'm excited for that Georgia matchup. That is the game of the week. And we're going to see. We're going to see if that offense, Texas offense, can handle that Georgia defense. Because I think Georgia's going to bring it on the defense side.
That's right.
But as we know, Georgia's been struggling offensively in the first quarter. So they got to get off the ball from the get-go, scoring points, if they want to come out on top of Texas. So I'm excited for that game.
I am too. And one other little pitch that you made this point numerous times at the beginning of the season, and even as we were talking before we had any other podcast episodes really out there. The SEC, they eat their own, right?
Yes.
That's what we're seeing here.
That's what we're seeing.
We are seeing a conference just churning through each other. And you got the Big Ten rising, like you just said.
Rising to the top. Yeah, like you said. Rising to the top, and the SEC is just slaughtering each other.
They are, and I'll be quiet for now.
No, that's all good, man. This is good stuff. We can talk football. Okay, let's talk about the Big Ten. Speaking of the Big Ten, let's talk about that Ohio State versus Oregon games. Ohio State traveled to Oregon in a classic matchup, number 2 against number 3.
Yes.
And guess what? Ohio State got beat. Oregon came away with the victory. 32-31. Talk about a nail biter. It was really an exciting game.
It was.
It went down to the wire.
Yeah.
Ohio State was driving in the fourth quarter,
Yep.
final seconds of the game. And the quarterback, he went down, he slid.
Yeah.
Could have thrown the ball out of bounds, could have tried to call a timeout, could have made several other decisions, but for some reason it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And again, the Ducks came out on top, but I don't think Ohio State really had an answer for Oregon's offense. So Ohio State's defense did not have an answer for Oregon's offense. Oregon missed several other scoring opportunities. So the score really could have been significantly different than what the final score was because of just some missed opportunities. So just an impressive victory. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do throughout the rest of the season. Ohio State, both teams got plenty of good football left in front of them.
They do.
So we'll see.
Yes.
We'll see, but the Big Ten, they typically have 1, 2, maybe 3 teams between Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State historically. Now that you've got teams like Oregon, USC in the conference, it just mixes things up. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening in the Big Ten. But that was the final. Oregon came out on top, 32-31.
Oh, man. What about those Ducks, man? Wow.
Yes.
I'll tell you, it was a good game. And on the SEC side of the house, right, let's talk a little bit about Florida versus Tennessee. Yes. They were on the road. It was a big test for them, against Tennessee. They came up short, right? Yep. Overtime, 23-17 in overtime. It was exciting. Yes. And as you shared with us before, Florida, the team impresses you sometimes, and then sometimes they don't, right?
Yep.
Kind of wishy-washy a little bit. In this game, they led multiple occasions. They led the game, but Tennessee was always fighting back. Unfortunately, Florida's quarterback, Graham Mertz, he went down for a torn ACL, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, most likely this is the end of his college football career with that injury because, if I'm not mistaken, he's a senior.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So it's a wrap. Just very unfortunate for him. And it wasn't really on a hit or anything. It just kind of jammed his foot on the field as he was coming out of a pass. But that just tells you how much torque and energy and stress athletes put on their bodies.
That's right.
For something that looks so simple, to cause that damage and end up with that torn ACL. So, definitely plenty of thoughts for him. We wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully, he'll be able to come back from that and compete in the combine and go into the draft. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope he does. I really do.
Yeah,
that's good
for sure. So week 7, super exciting.
Yeah,
enjoyed it. Week 8 is right around the corner. I think we've got several matchups we've already kind of talked about. Again, we've got Alabama at Tennessee.
Come on with it.
Neyland Stadium, 3:30 p.m. on ABC. That's a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Alabama and Tennessee.
Yes.
I always look forward to it. We have the tradition of the winner getting a chance to smoke cigars afterwards.
That's right.
I enjoy a nice cigar every now and then. So we'll see what happens this Saturday. Hey, those Auburn Tigers, they're traveling to Missouri. They're traveling to Missouri to take on them Tigers. So here we are, the Auburn Tigers. Going to take on them Show Me State Tigers. So that's a noon kickoff on ESPN. And as you mentioned earlier, the game of the week. Georgia travels to Texas.
Big game.
Take on them Longhorns. 7:30 p.m. on ABC.
Big game.
Some exciting matchups. I'm looking forward to week 8.
Oh, yeah. It's
all right, man. Let's go ahead and shift gears.
All right, let's do it, brother. So let's get into our health and wellness tip. We're talking about bone health this week and the importance of balance and stability exercises. So Luther, you're always the one that provides all the analytics to this, because I know you've done your research. So take it from there, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, so bone health is absolutely crucial, especially as we age. With you celebrating your birthday today, you're getting a little bit older.
That's right.
Hey, so it's absolutely paramount that we maintain strong bones. And it's more than just consuming calcium, vitamin D. It's about incorporating strength training into your fitness routine, incorporating balance and stability exercises to prevent falls and fractures. Because as we get older, the number one thing, outside of, heart-related type issues For our elderly, is, slips and falls,
Yes.
and they break a hip or they break a leg or
Yeah.
something like that, and then they're bedridden, and then a lot of times they don't recover. It's hard to recover from
That's right.
debilitating injuries like that. It
Yes.
just causes them to just deteriorate. So, that's really what we're talking about is
Mm-hmm.
maintaining your balance and stability, improving your balance and stability as you age. So from a nutrition standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
you can consume calcium-rich foods like dairy products, leafy greens, almonds, fortified cereals. Uh, those are all foods high in vitamin D. You also have fish and eggs, fatty fish. Those are also essential foods that you can consume to increase your calcium and vitamin D intake. And of course, you can't forget about supplements. I mean, vitamin D supplements are extremely popular right now for a good reason because of what we're talking about, bone health. So supplementing with a vitamin D supplement, magnesium or calcium, these are all things you can do to increase your intake if you're deficient in those areas. And more than likely, you possibly are deficient in vitamin D. So
Yeah.
just something to take into consideration. And then by all means, hey, please consult with your primary care physician, your doctor, before starting any type of new, supplement routine or anything along those lines. But just
Right.
something to ask about or inquire about. And then from an exercise standpoint,
Yes.
what are some things that you can do to improve your stability, improve your balance? We're talking about things like yoga. We're talking about Tai Chi. And most importantly, we're talking about single leg exercises, incorporating those into your routine, into your strength training or resistance
Yeah.
training routine to help build, your strength, increase your bone density. Some other specific exercises you can do are lunges, heel to toe walks, leg lifts. They all help with stability. But again, I think the key is doing those isolated moves where you're doing single leg exercises. And one of the things I like to do is I like to do step ups. So a single leg step up onto my bench, put my arms out to my side or in front of me, like a goblet position, and then do single leg step ups. So essentially, one leg is on the bench while
Mm-hmm.
you're doing that knee raise with the other leg, then you
Yeah.
alternate. So it just helps improve
For sure.
your stability and balance. And you typically have one side that's stronger than the other. So as you're
Mm.
doing these exercises, you'll quickly figure out, okay, my right side may be weaker, or my left side may be weaker. So that's the side you want to place increased emphasis on, do
That's right.
more reps,
Mm-hmm.
repetitions on that weaker side to try to bring it up to the same level as the stronger side. So, again, it's really all about consistency, practicing these exercises. These are all things you can do to enhance muscle memory, that coordination, and mobility. If you make these part of your daily routine, I mean, you're just going to be the better for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Oh,
our health and wellness tip of the week right there. Tate, anything you want to add on to that?
no, I was just going to say, when you're talking about how one side of your body is stronger than the
Yes.
other and how that really creeps into your lifestyle and you don't
Mm-hmm.
realize it until maybe it's too late. So you have got to do these type of exercises on a routine basis. I
That's a
would
good
say
point.
if you're over 40 years old, you need to start doing them now. And if you're over 50, then if you're a guy like me, then you need to be doing them on a daily basis. I
Yes.
must say that I am not as consistent as I need to be. I
Yeah.
need to be doing these on a daily basis because
Mm-hmm.
these are the type of things that creep up on you. And all of a sudden, you're walking down the stairwell or something, or you're trying to
Yep.
retrieve something from a high shelf, and you simply lose your balance.
Just
And
use some balance.
when
Yeah.
people ask you, "Hey, what happened?
What
How'd you
happened?
fall off the ladder?" You're like, "I don't know." you know
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
that's usually
That's
what
what
happens.
happens.
Right,
That's
right.
exactly it.
So, hey, again, Luther, my hats off to you for doing all the research and knowing that this is a topic that we
Yeah,
need to talk about and talk
absolutely.
about that consistency of practicing all these exercises and the fact that it helps to do this and
Yes.
take those supplements to get you where you need to be.
Yep.
So I think we're ready to go into our closing. This has been a fun one.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
You
been a
know,
good one, man. It's been a good one.
I tell you, it is a wrap for today's episode, but we hope that you guys have really enjoyed everything
Yes.
regarding college football. I hope you
Yes.
guys enjoyed me talking a little bit about the barbecue event that I went to,
Yes.
the grill and
I think
chill
so.
down
That was good.
Texas, and Luther, do you have any closing comments before we get on to the get on?
Hey, I'll just say, hey, thank you again for listening to the show. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe. Again, you can find us on all platforms that podcasts are available: Apple, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. We're on YouTube. Hopefully you're watching this video. Check us out at wildblueyonder.com. We also have the website where you can listen or watch the show. And then lastly, from a social media standpoint, we're on X or Twitter at OOTW Blue Yonder. Check us out.
Absolutely. And as I always like to say, until next time, stay focused and keep pushing forward.
I love it. Hey, take care, everyone.